Welcome to TV Africa News. Thank you so much for joining us and always being part of us. This is Africa Today. My name is Nahabe Kajur, but first, are the headlines. Parliament summons Dr. Acheng over sacked COVID-19 personnel. 12 arrested over illegal impounding of border borders. Human errors in judgment linked to increased road accidents. In sports today, Shaban Oliveira crowned Uganda Premier League best for the month of April. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We start with one of our top stories. Now, Parliament has given the Minister of Health, Dr. Jane Ruth Ocheng, until Wednesday, 18th May 2022, to explain to the House why the contracts of health workers under the COVID-19 emergency services were terminated, despite a presidential directive to absorb them into government health facilities. We have the report.
Deputy Speaker of Parliament Thomas Tayebwa said that he recalled that following the presidential directive, the House Service Commission employed all eligible medical officers. He added that on 10th November 2021, the House Service Commission wrote to all directors of government health facilities that it was going to run a validation exercise of all COVID-19 emergency workers. He was, however, concerned that the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Diana Twine, overlooked this directive and terminated contracts of medical officers already employed in the various parts of the country. This, he said, was not the right way of rewarding people who risked their lives in the fight against COVID-19. Tayebwa asked what will happen if COVID-19 comes back when contracts of health workers were terminated after saving the lives of Ugandans. He wondered whether they will call them back again to volunteer after that treatment. The response from officers whose contracts were terminated, Tayebwa said, was so spine-chilling and required urgent response from government.
Moving on in the top stories, police arrested 12 people in an operation targeting elements that have been illegally impounding motorcycles in Kampala. Now, the arrest followed increased complaints from motorists, especially border riders, who have been accusing people in civilian wear of impounding and later extorting money from them before releasing the illegally impounded motorcycles. We have the details.
According to the Deputy Police Spokesperson for Kampala Metropolitan, Luke Oyesgire, police carried out an operation in the affected areas of Clock Tower and Biwologoma, where several complaints had been registered. Oyesgire noted that during the operation, 12 suspects were arrested. Among the arrested include some officers from Kampala City Council Authority. He added that police recovered a chain which the suspects have been using to lock down the motorcycles in ungazetted places. Oyesgire further said that the operation is still ongoing and urged the public to take note that only officers in uniform should stop and impound their motorcycles. Meanwhile, according to Oyesgire, the arrested will be arraigned in courts of law as soon as investigations on them are done.
Away from that, the Ministry of Works and Transport has said that the Link bus accident, which happened along Fort Portal Road, was caused by poor human judgment by the driver. Now, this was revealed by the Minister of Transport, General Katumba Wamala, while addressing the journalists at the Uganda Media Center in Kampala. Take a look at the story.
According to General Katumba Wamala, the Minister for Transport and Works said, upon the occurrence of the 4th May 2022 Link bus accident, the ministry imposed a 2-week ban on the Link bus services to allow investigations in the matter. However, their findings indicate that the accident was as a result of the poor judgment made by the driver. Katumba Wamala went ahead to caution Ugandans to be vigilant while on the roads to avoid such incidences before lifting the ban on the Link bus services. The Link bus managing director on the other side said they have put a number of theft measures to allow them operate smoothly without more accidents. It should be noted that the 4th May 2022 accident involving Link bus in Fort Portal left 26 people dead and a score with grave injuries.
Well, thank you so much, reporter. Africa Today takes a quick break. We shall come back with our international news. Welcome back for the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In our international news today, Sudanese demonstrators are back on the streets to protest against the military in power and ask for implementation of a civil government. We have the report.
Large crowds could be seen around the presidential palace in Khartoum, responding to calls from several dissident groups on May 12th. This is the most important turnout since the holy month of Ramadan. Abdul Malik Ibrahim, a protester in Khartoum, said that all they were asking for is the military council to step down and hand the state over to a civilian government in order to save the state because Sudan is now collapsing with no justice, no freedom and no peace. Activists have often condemned the use of live ammunition and tear gas by the security forces during clashes with protesters. According to Sudanese lawyers, over 80 political protesters are still in jail, many of whom are tortured. The army took power last October, putting an end to great hopes of a democratic transition after months of a popular uprising which ousted autocratic ruler Omar al-Bashir.
More of our international news, a Congolese rapper sentenced in December to 2 years in prison for insulting the head of state has been acquitted and appealed by a military court in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, according to his lawyer. Patrick Mukomba told journalists that Nzazu Moyesa Makasi was acquitted and released on Wednesday by the military court of North Kivu at the end of his appeal trial opened in March in Goma, the provincial capital. The lawyer explained that the judges considered that the facts accused of their client were not established, which is true because Mr. Nzazu has only denounced the atrocities taking place in Beni, a territory in the east of the country plagued by violence and massacres of civilians since Nzazu Moyesa Makasi, a 29-year-old singer, was sentenced in December to 2 years in prison for insulting the head of the state. Mr. Mukomba added that the military justice accused him of wording of the title of his song, Pass the President, referring to the fact that the authorities have been struggling to put an end to the war in the east of the DRC for the past 25 years. Originally from Butembo, the rapper Nzazu Moyesa had lost his father in 2015 in Beni during an attack by the Allied Democratic Forces rebels, a group presented by the Islamic State jihadist organization as its branch in Central Africa. Away from that, a Malian judge has summoned French Foreign Minister Jean as part of an investigation into an attack on public property and other offenses.
According to a Malian judicial source, the investigation follows a complaint from several civil groups gathered under the organization Malico. It concerns a contract award for the manufacturer of Malian passports to a French company to which the son of the minister is linked. An official document indicates the case dates back to 2015 when the evicted President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta was president. Jean-Yves Le Drian is expected in Bamako on the 20th of June. His cabinet told the media on Wednesday, May 11 evening that it has not been informed of this situation. This investigation comes at a time of tension between Mali and France as relatives between the two countries have deteriorated in recent months and the military corps.
Moving on, Togolese government has announced that at least 8 Togolese soldiers were killed and 13 wounded on Tuesday night in a terrorist attack in northern Togo, a first in the country previously spared from violence. We have the report. According to a statement broadcast on state television by the government at around 3 a.m., a forward post of the operation located in the locality of Pinkakandi was attacked by a group of heavily armed unidentified terrorist group which left 8 people dead and 13 wounded on the side of the defense and security forces. This is the first deadly terrorist attack in Togo where the army is deployed in the north to deal with the threat of violence from jihadist groups of neighboring Burkina Faso. Togo had recorded only 1 attack in November 2021. The government strongly condemned the cowardly and barbaric attack, saying that it was doing everything possible to seek out and disable those armed terrorist groups. According to a senior military official who requested anonymity, the soldiers were attacked by about 60 men on motorcycles. EU diplomatic chief Joseph Borrell said on Wednesday that the attack shows that the terrorist threat is spreading to the Gulf of Guinea countries. Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger are grappling with jihadist insurgencies, and neighboring states such as Ghana, Togo and Cote d'Ivoire are concerned about spillover to their borders. Well, thank you so much, your reporter. Africa Today takes a quick break. We shall come back with business, health and sports. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In the business news today, Egypt is in full wheat harvest season and farmers are actively collecting their crops. Now, the Shakya Governorate in the north of the country is the largest province for the cultivation and the cereal, with a total area of about 423,000 acres. We have the report.
Wheat is a key food item for the country, where bread is an essential part of the diet. It has counted for about 35 to 39% of caloric intake per person in the last few years, according to the International Food Policy Research Institute. According to Mohammed Hassan, a farmer in Shakya, last year, 1 acre yielded about 101 bushels of wheat, but this year, an acre yielded about 112 bushels. Out of the 100 million population, 30% live near or below the poverty line. The Egyptian government said in April it would try to save half the money it spends on wheat subsidies by issuing a new smart card system to ensure that the cheap bread goes to only the neediest. For many years, Egypt has mainly depended on wheat imports from Russia and Ukraine. In 2021, Egypt imported around 80% of its wheat from these two war-torn countries. But the war between these two countries has drastically pushed up cereal prices, and Egyptians have been facing a harsh inflation, which reached 13% last April, according to the state statistics agency CAPMAS.
In Africa Today Health, as the 15th conference of the parties of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification is taking place in Abidjan, many reports from the international organization are pointing out the devastating impacts of drought on African population. We have the report.
The International Fund for Agricultural Development, who has just launched a crisis response initiative, said that the impact of drought has been exacerbated by the war in Ukraine as it increased the fertilizer and fuel prices. More widely, the UN insists on the necessity of the global population to grow more resistant crops which need less water and to reduce animal products. Baron O, lead scientist, United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, explained that the region, which Kenya is a big part, has been impacted, with Ethiopia, Djibouti and Somalia severely been affected by drought following impacts that are related to land, like the desert locusts. Fauzia Sarah Mohammed, a farmer in the Kan Valley of Somalia, said that farmers in North Somalia are finding it hard to grow anything at all. The United Nations Convention says global warming will increase the risk of droughts in many vulnerable regions of the world, particularly in countries with high population growth rates. World Bank figures show that climate change could push 216 million people off their land by 2050, mostly because of drought.
In our sports news today, Vipers SC tactician Roberto Oliveira and Oduparaka FC skipper Mohamed Shaban have been named the best of the month of April in the Uganda Premier League monthly awards.
In a function held at Katikati Restaurant, Kampala on Thursday, Oliviera and Shaban were named best coach and player respectively. Each of the coveted accolade came with cash prize of 1 million Ugandan shillings from sponsors Pilsner Lager, a brand of Uganda Breweries Limited. Shaban beat off competition from KCCA FC striker Sadati Happy Anako and Vipers Soccer Club sharpshooter Caesar Manzoki. The Odumparaka captain was in fine form last month, scoring 6 goals in 4 games, including a hat-trick against Police FC. The other 3 games came against Express FC and Sport Club Villa. For Oliviera, he won the accolade ahead of Paul Kiwanuka and Bosco Dudu of Soltilo, Bright Stars FC and Odumparaka FC respectively. This is the 3rd accolade he is getting this season, having done the same in December last year and March.
Well, thank you so much for being a low audience from where we started from. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the right to know.